afternoon, everybody. I'm Marlany Naidoo, and I'm the Payment Security Lead from SGS Barcelona SCHWARZ Digits, and I'm based out of the Barcelona hub, but I'm originally from South Africa. Today, I'm going to take you through the challenges that we faced in the implementation of a resilience model for point-to-point solutions. So I'm going to be rattling off some really big numbers. With 575,000 employees and 3.6 billion transactions per year, SCHWARZ Group impacts the lives of millions of people on a day-to-day basis. Represented through our retail stores, Lidl and Kaufland, most of you would know the stores themselves, we present card-present transactions over 13,900 stores with an annual revenue in 2023 of 167.2 billion euros. So 3.6 billion transactions per year. Some acquirers don't even have those volumes. What does that mean for you sitting on the opposite side of the auditorium? Well, it means that we needed to lay the foundation for an understanding why these challenges are immense in our environment, from building a resilience model to presenting security and compliance. What does that mean from a business perspective? Well, we recognize that point-to-point encryption as a security solution protects the card data from the point of capture to the point of processing and the critical components of the payment process. However, bringing the goals between business strategy, payment, and security is always an old-age discussion. In addition to that, ensuring innovation and scalability of our solutions with local entity peculiarities is an important component. All of that in addition to future readiness. With changing technologies, changing standards, Andrew just presented targeted dates for new standards. What did that mean for the scalability of a solution that we were going to provide to the group? Using the old age SWOT analysis, it was a good way to push our objectives forward. So I want to focus here on the strengths and the opportunities. From a strong technology foundation perspective, I guess we can agree that point-to-point encryption as a protocol and as a solution provides that commitment to security and therefore to compliance. From an opportunities perspective, we wanted to increase the availability of card acceptance and reducing offline transactions. As you're aware, most offline transactions have an associated cost in terms of card fraud. In this particular space, I want to provide two real-life problems that existed within our environment. One of our local entities had a single point of failure with their payment gateway. So when the provider went down, our stores went down, which obviously impacts us in terms of the numbers. 2 million transactions per hour, that was the average impact if we did not have resilience built in place. Now you can see why the availability of card acceptance was very important. Not only from a customer perspective, sitting at the store wanting to pay for goods, but also for us as a retailer. What does this mean that we have shelf life products that need to be sold and we cannot sell it? For the local entity, that means the bottom line's impacted. So bringing all of these opportunities, strengths, some of the weaknesses, which you can read off the slides, together and making that a viable solution for point-to-point encryption solutions and resilience was the core focus of what we were trying to achieve. 6 of these challenges, I've put down the top 6 of these challenges, mostly orientated around local technology and regulations. So we had some remote locations, Eastern Europe components, where getting a service provider to provide point-to-point encryption solutions was actually quite difficult and posed an addition to the complexities that we were facing. In addition, providing switching and switching providers in those remote locations. Further to that, and the most interesting one for me is the field services providers. We're requesting one terminal, 2 solution providers, and 2 payment instruction manuals. So what does that mean in terms of providing a consistent service throughout our local entities, and in addition, ensuring that our local staff and our information security officers who do the compliance checks are able to manage the differences when it comes to 2 solution providers, 2 PIMs, and 1 payment terminal. Contractual ownership, point of POI ownership, and the compliance journey on a whole also pose complexities to implementing the point-to-point solutions and resilience. In terms of the contracts themselves, we're looking at including PCI DSS clauses within our contracts. It obviously limits our liability, but also put forward to our service providers how they're going to manage our compliance. Remember, in the previous slide, I said 2 PIMs, 1 terminal, 2 solution providers. Who manages what? Having a clear RACI and what we wanted to achieve had to be put into the contracts and into the ownership. In addition to that, terminal inventory. So we all have to do the terminal checks, right? And the tamper checks on the terminals themselves. Who owns those terminals? Who owns the terminal inventory? Do we have 2 inventories, or do we have 1 inventory with a secondary provider and a primary provider? These are some of the challenges that were ongoing. In addition to that was the compliance journey. So point-to-point encryption and the 5 domains have a lot of PCI requirements, which we all have to maintain when implementing these solutions, including the P2PE program guides and all the additional requirements from a standards perspective. Sorry. Can you go back, please? You switched over. Deepak Chopra said, instead of thinking outside of the box, get rid of the box. And this is where Josef Huff and his team from business consulting stepped in. They had to get rid of the box and find a way to neatly implement compliance, security, and a business requirement. Josef.
Thank you. So, welcome from my side as well. Let me quickly introduce myself. I'm Josef. I'm a German citizen located near Munich. And I started my career in the card payment ecosystem '99 in Intercard. It's a Munich-based payment processor acquired by Verifone in 2015. And my final stage was head of product. I developed payment applications, established processing system, Shiro card system, as well as acquiring system. In March 20, I joined SCHWARZ IT and built up with the whole team an organization which is called SDO, Solution Driven Organization. Marlany mentioned it or handed over it to me as a challenge. I wouldn't say it's a challenge. We developed from a challenge to an opportunity. P2PE and PCI itself is not a blocker for our business. We identified the opportunity, the capability, how we can use security compliance regulation to expand our business, to expand our solutions easily, quickly, and fully apply and compliant with our own internal regulation. It's not me alone, it's not Marlany alone. We have a couple of people sitting in Barcelona. There's a competence center in Barcelona. We work cross-national, we work cross-functional, as you can see. We are mainly 3 departments who are involved in building a solution. What is a solution? It's a very simple one. A business requirement is ensure secure, compliant card payment in, take a country, whatever you want. I take as an example, Czech Republic. That's a business requirement, mainly and mostly given by our business departments. Business department is mainly our central services .schwarz. Finance, as an example, is a business department. Beside the business departments, we have also IT departments. We are acting as a tandem. Tandem means both are developing a solution. The one who is saying what he needs, and the other who is saying how it can work, and everything, what I said, compliant with our own regulation. The security, the PCI stuff is part of the SCHWARZ IT. Beside the SCHWARZ IT and the finance departments, we have the procurement, because we want to expand, and expanding, it's not only an IT stuff. Expanding mean or scale of a solution means also that you have central negotiated contracts. What you easily can use in case of a country join in a central negotiated contract. With that central contract, we ensured that all requirements are covered, all security stuff are as we are defined it as standard, plus we are, as always, P2PE compliant or PCI compliant. We have mainly in that team, it's about 10, 12 people like that. As I said, cross-national, you know, Thomas Perlines with that team, he is sitting here in Barcelona. We are sitting in Weinsberg, Neckarsulm, where our headquarters is. And we have mainly 4 roles. And these roles are very strict and relevant in collaboration with partners, in collaboration with our countries. One of the roles is creating standardization. What is a standardization for us? P2PE is a standard. We don't need to discuss about whether we want to have it. We just discuss if we have it now or we get it later based on a roadmap. A further standardization is that we accept only payment solutions where the customer or the cardholder is able to enter the PIN. Mean that we don't want to have the single contactless reader because the cardholder would not be able to enter the PIN in case he's needed. Whatever happened, the cardholder needs to be able to pay. Okay? Just to give you 2 examples for standardization. Standardization is done or will be done by the team in Barcelona, by the team in Neckarsulm, Weinsberg. This is what the card payment team are defined for the whole group. The second one is project management. In case of a country want to change the card payment infrastructure, like I need to, the life cycle of a payment device runs or is end of life, I need to change something. We have the capability, the knowledge, the experience, and the excellence to help them to start a RFP until a rollout. We support them with project management skills and knowledge. The third one is consulting. In case of a country don't know, and we have big countries there can help them by themselves with card payment topics like Germany or France. But we have small countries or starting new countries like Serbia, Bosnia-Herzegovina. They are asking, hey, what is card payment? How does it work? Do we really need a payment device? We help them with consulting, or, which is also a part of the consulting in case of escalation management. Whatever happens in the countries, whatever escalate, we guide them with our regulations and our compliance stuff. And last but not least, which is a very important role, is the governance role. If I just set the standardization and define the standard, but I don't control them or control the standard, how these happen in the countries, this is part of the governance. Whenever something happens in the country, it is part of the governance role to ensure that it's happened as we have it defined either as standard or as a compliant or regulation rule. And again, PCI, payment security, security itself is part of that definition and role. There is one thing missing, I guess, but doesn't matter. That's the main, I would say, card payment chain we are considering. I know that many of you are used to have a payment device which is linked directly to the acquirer. You will never find that kind of solution within the SCHWARZ Group. Why? Because we decided, thank you, we decided to establish a processor in between. Why? Because we identified that the processor in between are able to support us with a P2P solution, which is a mandatory requirement. You will never find a card payment solution within the SCHWARZ Group without P2P. The second one is that the processor helps us to scale locally acquirer or acquiring banks, to switch in case we need it. We come back to it later if we're talking about backup scenarios or how we can divide our volume per country, okay? And we consider with the acquirer our local processes, which are mainly reconciliation, differences, calculations, reporting. And I can just tell you that There exists one nightmare within the SCHWARZ Group, but that's the worst thing that can happen. That is, either a reconciliation will not match to the day off, or we have double bookings. And for that, we get the processor in between. We can help us with dual message or some, I would say, security mechanism to ensure that we avoid double bookings. Everything you can see here is end-to-end encrypted from the POS for the whole value chain of card payment until the acquirer, and also the administration. We have never card data within our environments. Giving you one example what it means to have a centralized, unified payment solution. And there is one philosophy sentence within the group. You build it, you run it. Okay? This solution I show you as an example is a solution we have. In this case, it's Romania, but this solution is available in 4 countries with 6 entities. But I took just the example Romania. It works for Kaufland as well as Lidl. We are considering here 8,000 devices. And these devices are linked to a central managed load balance infrastructure, our own load balance infrastructure, where we have connected the processor, and I can say the name, it's Verifone, where we have connected the processor with 3 MPLS and 6 VPNs. Mean the resilience, the backup mechanism for at least the connection between the store, our central data centers, we have 2 of them in Germany and Austria, and the data center of Verifone are more than covered, I would say like that, right? And then we use the Verifone processing center to spread the business to the acquirer. And this is what we do for 2 reasons. One reason is, in case of one acquirer have some disruption, no issue. We can switch off within seconds. You will never recognize, and the store will never recognize. And I'm not sure, Marlany, whether you mentioned it, but in case of we have an outage for 1 hour, it costs us not 1,000, not 100,000, it costs immediately millions of revenue we lose in case of we can't accept cards. Especially in these countries where we have a very huge card penetration, like in the Nordics, where we're talking about more than 90% of our customers in the Nordics using either their card or their phone, which is a card imitated. The acquiring business, this is what I meant by it's used as a backup as well. Plus, we use that as on-us transaction. So we combined security because this solution is fully P2PE compliant. We combine them with financial aspect like, okay, I have a backup acquirer in case of I need it. Plus, I'm able to negotiate fees. Plus, I can do and save money in case of I send the transaction directly to the issuer instead of routing it through the whole Visa and MasterCard net, which is called on-us transactions. We have unified platforms, meaning that the decision, it was done 2015 by a team from Thomas Perlines. We want to have P2PE as a standard within the SCHWARZ Group. Therefore, we defined and we developed unified platforms. The second is we have integration capabilities. As you can imagine, if we deal, I guess you mentioned 30 countries, right? 30 countries. And usually you would say, okay, then I have 30 solutions. No, that's not right. We have maybe 20, 25 solutions because we try to combine countries by cluster, or we try to scale and expand. If it's work in country A, it works easily in country B because the standardization is very high. The requirements are very clear. There are no difference. And it allows us, although it's very standardized, it's very centralized, it allows us to consider also some local requirements as we have it currently in Poland with BLIK mobile payment. We developed BLIK on the payment device without any touching other regulation or compliance stuff within the whole solution. Okay? Future-proofing means, I talk a lot of retail, but you can imagine SCHWARZ Group, especially Kaufland Lidl, we are far away from talking about the standard retail POS device. We are far away. We are currently working, I would say, 70% of our business is dealing with toilet gate, coffee machines in the stores, barbecue vending machines in front of the store, parking spot vending machine, or, as you know, EV charging station. We are part of the AFIR regulation, means we need to establish in Europe card payment on each single store. And that's not the pure retail business with having just a simple payment device on the ECR. We are now dealing more like that. And in this case, it's very important. If you have a secure standard, if you have a security in place, and you have the understanding of inventory and all this stuff which belongs the P2PE requirement, then you don't need to take that much aware of that compliance because it's there. There's no doubt that we don't do it as we did it or do it in the retail store. What's next? Okay, card payment is a very old stuff, right? But we need it. And Marlany, you mentioned it, how many transactions and the volume, and that's a very big number. And we need to save that money, and we need to save that volume. Because card payment, it will not stop tomorrow. Of course, something will migrate to mobile payment scheme like Swish, Twint, Blick, right? And someone will use PayPal, QR code, blue code, so all these fancy stuff. Yeah, this fancy stuff is valid, and it is the future. But for now, I need to ensure our core business, which is the simple card payment on the payment device, either in the parking spot by EV charging or in the store. We have some ideas in mind, and I just will to introduce you just from compliance perspective. I don't want to talk too much about that, but you can imagine that currently we have MDE. We have per store, I would say 6 to 8 MDE devices running. We use them daily. How can MPOC standard help us to build with that MDE devices a kind of backup? Currently, we're dealing with mobile devices which are in the back office. In case we need it, they need to go to the ECR spot, but then you have the issues like the battery is low or no one is aware about that and something like that. We have that, but it's not, no one feels comfortable to use them. But MDE is comfortable. Everyone uses it daily. Can MPOC help us to bring payment on the MDE? Question. Acquirer backup. I already introduced that we are starting to back up the acquirer. It's not about trust to the acquirer. We are facing nearly weekly DDoS attacks to local banks, to local acquirer. And I don't want to say it's just in Eastern Europe, it's across Europe weekly. And it leads always to a disruption like 1 hour, 1.5 hour, maybe 2 hours. How can I save my business if I back up the acquirer, as I already introduced? Question. Third thing is hardware agnostic. I can tell you we have our own payment application built. We don't need that much Verifone application in Ingenico, Pax, Newland, Castle, all these vendors. We don't need their payment application. We have our own payment application. And that's not a future story. That's proved. That's in place. We have one payment application. It is led by us. It is managed by us. It runs on 3 different hardwares, 2 different use cases. We have it on attended as well as unattended. And it's P2PE compliant. It's listed. And the good point is, and this is why I'm saying P2PE is a chance, once it is listed, which is I can easily use it for other hardware. And I don't need to take care about that much P2P or PCI stuff. I don't need to start on the beginning. I start here to discuss, okay, it's not about how it, whether it goes or whether it works, it's just how. And the last point is N processors. N processors mean, keep in mind, we doubled now the acquirer. We are hardware agnostic. What about the processor? We decided as group we want to have a man in the middle, which is the processor who doing that switching gateway business for us, which is very important, right? What happens if there is something? I don't want to deal with 3, 4, 5, 6 devices in a row on a ECR system, as you are, maybe you know it from Turkey, right? If you enter a store, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, and because each one is linked to another processor. Nope. We want to have one hardware, one payment application linked to many processors as we need it. And now consider it as a web. If processor A is linked to acquirer A, if B is linked to acquirer B plus to A, we build that kind of cluster and network and modularization we want to have. Because building solution means not we build it from scratch. We do it by each country again and again and again. No, it means I take my modules, I have that hardware, that payment application, that acquirer, that processor, and I build one chain and saying, that's my solution for that country. And if it works, as I said, for that country, it easily works for the other countries. And again, everything compliant. Let me hand over back to Marlany for the key takeaways.
Thank you, Josef.
Thank you.
So 4 key outcomes, if there's anything you take away from this presentation, is we have a global compliance standard. We have mandated that point-to-point encryption is the standard for any POI implementations. We have P2P business consulting and expert teams that provide a standard approach and support to all countries. And we're building resilience. So all in all, from a long-term benefits perspective, we are generating expertise, services, and standardized security solutions in the delivery of point-to-point encryption and resilience to a group of 3.6 billion transactions per year. Thank you very much.